productivity. I know I talk about it a lot inside the Clarity community. And you may be saying, Ross, this is a marketing community. What? WTF on the productivity? Let me tell you. Productivity is important if you're a solopreneur, small business marketer, because I realize you don't have hours and hours and hours or just an entire day to dedicate to your marketing. I realize you have an hour here, an hour there, that kind of thing throughout the week. And so productivity and efficiency in that productivity is really important, because when you sit down for that hour, when you sit down for that 30 minutes, right, that you know exactly what to do, that it's not, oh, I have an hour, 45 minutes of it, you're just waffling and you have no idea what's going on. So that's why productivity is important to me and should be important to you as a small business marketer. And there is no one I know that is more thoughtful, more knowledgeable about productivity than Jamie Steele. Jamie, welcome.
Hi, Ross. Thanks so much. That was a wonderful introduction.
I mean, we've talked about it before. We're obviously cut from the same cloth when it comes to productivity. But for people out there who maybe don't know you, talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, who you work with.
Yes. So my name is Jamie Steele, like Ross said. I always have to add that in again. I work with small business owners who are overwhelmed by their to-do list, and we work on strategies to cancel out that overwhelm by utilizing your calendar and time blocking. It's my favorite thing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we met many years ago, and like I said, like I am just, as a solopreneur, and I do have some contractors that I work with and things like that. But being able to manage your own time when you run your own business is, I would argue, almost as important as being able to manage your money, because they go together, right?
Yes.
And I think that's actually a very natural evolution for the things that you teach too, is understanding how your productivity is really tied to your profits too.
Yes, I am talking about reducing decision fatigue to skyrocket your profits. With time blocking, you predetermine what you're going to work on, and that reduces decision fatigue and allows you to make more money.
I love that phrase, decision fatigue. It's like, it just so describes what happens when you're a small business owner or when you're a small business marketer. You know, like there's so many plates to spin, and it comes down to prioritization and making time to get things done. Stuff doesn't just magically get done, right? You have to make time for it. So in this video, you've put together a handy guide, beginner's guide, if you will, to time blocking, and we're going to go over that today. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I am ready.
Awesome.
So I am going to talk about time blocking, and we are going to go over a lot of the reasons for time blocking and why it's beneficial. Time blocking itself is pretty self-explanatory. You schedule your tasks, you work on your tasks when they're scheduled, but there are some ways to make time blocking easier, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So Ross already went over who I am. I talked a little bit about who I am. The most important thing I do is I teach people to live in alignment so they can run their business with ease. I talk a lot about core needs and values with my clients to set the foundation for time blocking. And that's a great thing if you already tried time blocking and you are not having success, it's probably because you're not in alignment with your core values and needs. And that's a whole other topic. So let's talk about our agenda for today. We're going to talk about time mapping versus time blocking. Time mapping is a little bit it's a little less structure than time blocking, and it's a good place to start. So we'll get into that, the differences between the two, and why I like time mapping. The benefits of time blocking, there are some laws and effects that we're going to learn today to tell you why it's so important that we are specific and I can't think of the word. How funny.
Intentional, you know.
Intentional. Right? Yes, my wordsmith to the rescue. Thank you, Rob. We're going to set the foundation with the time map, and then we're going to talk about once you have set your time map up and started time blocking, how to manage that schedule. And then I'm going to give you the easy button at the end and talk about auto schedulers.
I also want to say, if you're just joining us, Jamie's also been super awesome, that she's going to provide some starter templates for you also. So stay tuned for that. Links will be in description, so on and so forth. But yeah, she's kind of, well, not kind of, she's put together some starting templates and things that you can use and implement.
Yes. And this picture you see on the screen that looks like a Google sheet or an Excel sheet, this is one of the templates you're going to get. It's you'll be able to create your own time map, and then you'll be able to time block by throwing your tasks into these buckets that you've created. So let's talk about the difference between time mapping and time blocking. Time mapping is segmenting your day into themed chunks of time, while time blocking is filling your tasks into those theme blocks of time. So you can get as specific as you want. A lot of people will use, I included, will use 30-minute blocks for time blocking, whereas some people, I have been told, like Elon Musk, does 5-minute blocks for time blocking. So you can really do this in whatever increment you want.
I think that's also something, I think if you've also tried something like this, or maybe some other methodologies or systems, the one thing I also want to stress is I think it's very rare that one system or process right out of the box works for you. And I say that because that's where someone like Jamie comes in, is, oh, I tried the time mapping and this worked, but this didn't work. That's where someone like Jamie can help you navigate and say, okay, what can we take from that? And then, like, why did it work? What could be improved? And I'm going to tell you, like, for my own experience, my general productivity, while I have outlined it and talked about it, and I did a whole blog post on it on Tricycle Creative, it's kind of been duct taped together a little bit in a personalized way. Like, I like this element, I like this element, and I kind of brought it together to make it my own. So I say this because if you're trying this or you have a system and you're frustrated, it may not be about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Right.
Absolutely. Productivity is so personal. I mean, it's where our brains are wired in different ways. I have a client who we were working on her time map, but it looks nothing like what you see in front of you here. Like, she has 3 blocks. She has what she does in the morning, what she does around lunchtime, and then what she does in the evening. And those are her blocks, and that works for her. I happen to be one who likes to, I'm not quite to the 5-minute mark that like Elon Musk, but I like to really schedule out my day. I know, though, I can do this because I know that it's a template. It's not plans. Who said that planning is everything, but plans are worthless? I can't remember who gave that quote, but it's, if we plan in advance, we reduce decision fatigue, and we allow ourselves to, when we're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, give ourselves a place to look to know what to do next.
Love it.
Yeah. So what I did here on this time map is I actually did something called a time audit first to come up with categories or buckets to put onto my time map. So when I listed out everything I had to do, I knew there was a lot for social media. Social media takes up a lot of my time. I'm not to the point where I can outsource it yet. So I have to do a lot of planning for social media, research content ideas, enter and review financials. That's Tuesday because I just can't handle that on a Monday.
Can't deal with
and
that first thing of the week. And after
yeah,
coffee, I know you can't deal with it until you get that morning coffee. So
at
yeah,
coffee.
this meeting is scheduled in the late morning because you need your wake up time, which is I think during the reply to and send emails section.
Yes. And we have talked about this before, Ross. Some people tell you not to check emails in the morning and that you need to focus on what you need to get done first. And I totally agree with that. But I do know that there are a lot of people who their job or their business requires them to be up to date and responding to emails in a much faster way than I need to. So when I reply and send emails, sometimes it's more of just a review to get me set up for my day to know that if I had a new client come in, I want to make sure that I rearrange my time a little bit to reach out to that client.
And I think like a lot of things, it's about boiling it down to the concept. When I worked at big corporate organizations, I could not check my email in the morning. It was impossible. When I was managing video shoots, I could not check my email for the first 2 hours of the day. It just was not realistic. So I think there's some amount of some of that advice where it's like, it's not a one size fits all type thing. And it really does depend. I mean, yes, you have more freedom when you are your own boss, but that can be a good thing or a bad thing.
Right. Depending on how much structure you need in order to get motivated to get things done.
Yep.
So I'll go a little bit more in how to create a time map that looks like this for your time blocking to really be efficient. But first, let's talk about some of the benefits. There are 4 things that I really think are the benefits of time blocking. Parkinson's law is where work expands to fit the time allotted for it. And my best example of this is social media.
Yes.
If you're scheduling social media, if you give yourself a 4-hour chunk of time, which sometimes that's good. Like if you're really going to batch things and do like a whole month of social media at one time. But most of us, like me, I do about a week at a time, a week in advance. So if I schedule 4 hours for that, it's going to take me 4 hours because I am allowing interruptions in, that sort of thing. I'm fighting with perfectionism. So I try and time my tasks, first of all, to see how long it will take me. So I kind of race the clock a little bit. And then I know how much time to block out later that's realistic. I know how much time the task actually takes.
And I love that you did that. And I think people who are just getting started with this, while I like the approach of the audit, just know you don't necessarily, and you may disagree with me, but like I don't even know if you need to start with that. But I think you can say, I'm going to give it kind of in tying into Parkinson's law, I'm going to give it an hour. And then you can kind of feel like, did that feel like enough after a week or after a couple weeks? Do I feel like I need more time here? Do I feel like I need less time here? Kind of at least plan to do some sort of assessment to be like, do I feel like that's enough time or not? Or again, having an external, somewhat unbiased party like you to help them with that is also a good exercise.
Yes. And I would say that just noting, you could even start with just noting the time you begin a task and noting the time you end a task, not writing it down, but just making an effort to look at the clock so you get used to how much time is passing.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Something else that is a benefit of time blocking is the Zeigarnik effect. And this one, I know it affects all of us. It's where you tend to remember the work that was left incomplete or not touched over the things that you completed. So I coach clients to keep a to-done list, write down everything you do, even if it wasn't what you planned. And it's even more important when you have to go off plan, because then you'll look at your list, you're like, I didn't accomplish any of this, but you did all these other things instead because life happens and things are going to come out of left field. So being prepared for that with a to-done list.
Love it. I love that. The to-done list is good if you, I know we'll talk a little bit, but if you have a digital tool, that can even help you a little bit more with your to-done list. But
yes, I know you use Asana. I'm moving into Asana from Trello, and I love seeing the list of crossed out items in Asana. It lights me up.
I know. Me too.
We've already talked about time blocking and time mapping, reducing decision fatigue. And this, running your own business or being in a high level position, you have a lot to do. And if you don't have lists or a plan, then you have to make the decision in the moment. If you're making decisions in the moment, at every point during the day, you're going to wear yourself out and get tired. So having a generalized plan is going to reduce your decision fatigue and make you more efficient, which makes you more money. That's what we're all in business for, right? That money.
Absolutely.
And helping people. I love helping people. That sounded a little flippant, and I didn't mean it to be.
I think, here's the reality, right? Money is not the end all be all, but money makes things, I'll say, easier. Without us getting into some whole philosophical discussion, but when you're a business owner, having more money than less money is generally where we all want to be.
Right. Yes. And then when you have time blocked your schedule or done a time map, maybe you're not filling in the tasks into your time map yet, you're just using it as a guideline, it's going to decrease interruptions. No matter how detailed it is or not detailed it is, it's going to decrease interruptions because you're able to set some boundaries about what you're working on, when you're working on it, and you can communicate this to your coworkers, your colleagues, your housemates who most of us are working from home or remotely. So this allows you to set some boundaries and communicate those boundaries and let everyone know when you're available. So this is the good part. This is how you start your time map. You first download everything that's on your mind. It doesn't need to be pretty. It can be as messy as you want. You can keep it, you cannot keep it, but the first thing is to clear your mind. Then you're going to categorize those tasks into like tasks, like categories. And those are going to become your buckets on your time map. Examples.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, these are all social media tasks. So you write the task and you put a dash or something in social media. Then you know from that list. In this case, I'm working from an analog list, but you get the point. You can do this, I assume, also. You can do this digitally or analog, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to know how to use Trello, or you can do this in Google Sheets. You can do this in Word. Or you can do this on paper.
Yes, absolutely. I have a group, Positively Productive, where we list our top 3 every Monday to get accountability. And there's a gentleman in there who's retired and running a hobby farm. He does more work on that hobby farm than I do on my business, but excuse me. He uses a Word document and he has a process for moving things up to the top when they become more of a priority. Lately, that's been sheep for him. He's had baby sheep on his farm.
Oh,
So
baby sheep
yeah.
are always at the top of my priority list. I tell you.
So he just uses a Word document. I have a paper planner and I use digital tools as well. I find that writing things on paper for me makes them more concrete. I can better envision my time, but I usually start sometimes I start on paper and move digital. Other times I go digital and move to paper. So it just depends. I'm a little wacky with all the different things I have duct taped together like Ross.
The duct tape holds. That's the good news. The duct tape
That's
holds.
right. That's right.
It's been like soldered now, but for a while it was a little janky.
Yeah. Well, I like to switch my processes every once in a while because it gives me a little extra dopamine push.
Sure.
So something new, bright, shiny objects, that sort of thing.
You're a glutton for
Um,
productivity punishment. That's what you
it works for me. I get
Sure.
more done than I don't know. I get a lot done in a day. So um the other thing that's really important to look at is when you're most productive. Base your time map, your time template, time blocking on when you have the most energy. Like for me, responding to emails is a low energy task. So that's why I do it in the morning. I can think about my responses. I can delete a lot of things without thinking about it, move them to folders if I want to. So, really think about your energy level. If you are creating content for social media, I would need a high energy level to do that, mental energy. Um, for me, I, like Ross has told you my dirty little secret about my lazy mornings. I like to walk at 4 o'clock because that's another kind of low energy time for me. And walking gets me more motivated to deal with my home chores once I'm done working.
I
So,
never thought
really
about
think
it that
about
way.
when you're most productive.
I tend to, I mean, as far as exercise during the week, there are definitely days where, sometimes, well, not just exercise, I think a lot of times, like sometimes you just got to power through it, right?
Yeah.
And, but I like that take on kind of like, hey, when I'm low energy, do a walk around. When I used to work in New York, we worked, the office was right there at Rockefeller Center. So oftentimes right around that 3 to 4 a.m. lull where we're always like, oh my God, we just got to get like another couple hours, we would do a walk around. And now I feel like, maybe I should try to implement that, into my day here. I totally just didn't think about it till you said that.
Yeah. It's a great little, I say that's my commute. I meditate and I walk. And I'm walking inside on the treadmill, so I have AC. So
Sure.
it's nice and relaxing for me. Read a book, but that's my
Sure.
commute. Switch over to family time and listening to my kid and my husband and all the wonderful things they did that day.
It's awesome.
So, like Ross said, when you want to start making your time map, you can start with pencil and paper. I use erasable pens. It does get kind of messy when you're trying to group your like task, your like buckets, the same categories together, because you do want to try and think about what you're scheduling back to back. Like for me, financials do not lead to creativity. So I would not schedule entering my expenses before doing something creative. I'm sure there are lots more examples of that where it doesn't work right for your brain to work on those type of tasks back to back. So it will get messy. You'll erase. That's why I moved to a spreadsheet. I also figured out a way to time map and time block in Trello, which was a feat. You'll also have a link to this Trello board. So if you like Trello, you'll be able to time map in Trello. And then
You
it's a Google
engineered. You
Sheet
duct
that's
tape.
available.
You duct tape something together.
I did, and it works.
There you go.
So if you did a time audit, this is a great time to have it so you can start filling in your tasks into your time mapped categories. And then once you have blocked everything out and you are pulling your tasks in, you're going to need to find a way to communicate this with those you are working with or around. So I have gone as far as to post a schedule. I've had clients post their schedule, like if they're in an office environment and they're in cubicles, I've had them post it outside their cubicle. So hopefully people will notice, oh, they're not ready for me. They don't have open door policy right now. Another great way, if you're like really working your plan and you don't want somebody to bother you, stick in earbuds and they'll think you're listening to something, and or you can pretend you don't hear them. So,
Productivity hack. Ignore people. Right? Love it.
Ignore people. Yes.
Good one.
So one thing, since we're working remote, most of us are working remotely, we're in our home office, we might have children involved. Like I'm thinking of kids in that toddler age where a little bit older, where if you let them know when you're going to have time to spend with them, then they are most likely not going to interrupt you. You get a little clock out, say, okay, at 2 p.m., I have a break and we'll play until 2:20. That it's really important that when you're making time for others in your household, be it children or significant others, that you really focus on quality time instead of the quantity of time. Most people don't want you to hang out with them for 3 hours during the workday, but if you can give them 10 to 15 minutes without your phone, without distractions, then that goes a long way into decreasing interruptions later. And then put your phone on Do Not Disturb. This is so important. I don't know how people work with their phone beeping and ringing. And I mean, we're getting messages from every place, from Facebook, Instagram, emails, phone calls, text messages. There's so much information coming at us through our phones. When you are ready to work, do deep work, project work, you need a block to concentrate, put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Both Android and Apple have features where you can add people to your favorite contacts and then use your Do Not Disturb settings to allow favorites to come through. So you don't have to worry about if the school is calling or if missing the text that your son got into jazz band. You can still get those messages. You're just being more intentional about what's coming through.
Yeah, and I'm sure you could probably do a whole, workshop even on a lot of the phones now give you a lot more options with notifications too. That's the one thing too, is like, I'm an iPhone person, so grouping notifications together, honestly, turning some off that you don't need. Like by default, they're always on. That's the thing. Always on. Well, go in. Like, I don't need to know about all of this stuff. Or you can group them together and have like a daily summary of notifications. That's been a real game changer and helper for me. And yeah, if you also are someone who's managing your own social media, that can be a big distraction. And the phone on Do Not Disturb, and there's even different types of Do Not Disturb now on many of the phones. It's not just a blanket don't contact. It's you get a lot of options technologically. And I just really love your concept of quality over quantity time. As someone who has a newborn, just shade over 4 months old, I think I loved this when we first talked about this, to be able to bring this to my wife. My son's not old enough to understand time or anything really. But, like with my wife to be like, hey, I have this time block here to spend with you guys during the day when I'm working. That's really, really helped. And even just whether it's 30 minutes to an hour, knowing that it's quality time, my phone's going to be away, that kind of thing, versus trying to or feeling bad that I couldn't fit in 3 hours of time with them, it really helped a lot. So I love that piece.
Oh, I'm so happy that is working for you and that it helped. It's helped so many of my clients. I remember a husband and wife team working together, and that changed their relationship. So it's quality time over quantity time. So I told you I'd give you the easy button. There are a couple of auto schedulers out there for time blocking where you put your task list in and you assign priorities, and then it schedules the time on your calendar to get those tasks done. The first one is SchedPal. It's great for an individual. If you're not managing a team, it works with time maps, so you can categorize your time and have specific tasks fall into that bucket of time. If you get off track, it has an update schedule button and it reschedules everything for you. It shifts everything in your calendar. The other one is Time Hero, and I really recommend this for teams. It allows for collaboration. It works with Outlook and Google Calendar, so does SchedPal. But Time Hero is really great for keeping team projects on track. It does not use the time map, so it's basically just scheduling based on priority, like deadlines and things like that. But you can use it for teams. I wish SchedPal could be done for teams, but not quite yet. We'll have a link to both of those in the description. And then I wanted to invite you all, I hope this was helpful, first of all. I hope this was helpful in helping you determine whether time blocking is a right fit for you, or if you need a little less structure and time mapping might work for you. One of the things I talked about at the beginning was really getting in touch with your core needs and values. And that's where I start with all my clients it's the foundation for knowing what goes into your time map. And you did a little bit of that when you figured out what your categories for tasks were. That gives you a good idea of what your priorities are, what you're currently working on. So if you want to dig a little bit deeper, I invite you to schedule a strategy call with me. It's a 1-hour call, totally free. We talk about your productivity, what's working, what's not working, and we really get to know what your core needs are, what your core values are, so you can work in alignment. That's the easiest way to put it, to work in alignment. Now, and
I'll
Ross
put links to everything for your website down below also. So, but just for them, what is your website? Fire that off.
Sure. It's tidyyourtime.com. And you can find me on Facebook as Tidy Your Time and Instagram as Tidy Your Time. I have a Facebook group called Positively Productive I talked about a little bit before. I'd love to see you in there. It's a really great way to get accountable. Mondays are so uplifting for me because I see what everybody's working on, and it inspires me to get what I need to get done.
And that's a free group, right?
That's a free group.
Everything.
Yeah.
And that the meetings you have also, that's something that if they join the group, they can jump in, that kind of thing also?
Yes, I do. Thank you for mentioning that. We do in Positively Productive. I go live every Tuesday for a training. And then I also have co-working on Thursdays. for positively productive members, and the clarity community can come in and work for an hour. We mute ourselves and focus for about 30 minutes to get one of those tasks that we've been trying to get done forever and just couldn't. Having other people on a video call with you and knowing that you're going to say what you accomplished at the end really gives you that motivation to get it done so everybody can celebrate with you. And if you don't get it done, that's okay too. There's absolutely no judgment, but we will ask you what you learned from trying the process. So what you can take with you, what you don't want to do again.
No shame. They don't come over and beat you with sticks or throw rocks at you if you don't get the stuff done. So that's good. It's still a supportive group. And yes, it's something that I'm going to work with you directly, a little bit closely, to bring that inside of the Clarity community, because I just think it's a great idea. And I think it's something that, again, if you're a small business marketer, even just taking that 30 minutes once a week, at the very least, you know you'll be working 30 minutes on some aspect of your marketing. So,
yes.
Jamie, thank you so much. This was, I love productivity. I think it is so critically important to small business marketers. Is there anything else, that you'd like to mention? Or again, before we jump off, maybe just throw out, your website one more time so people can head over there and book a call with you.
Yeah, wonderful. So tidyyourtime.com is the website. It lots of fun things going on there. We've got a blog, and there's some, I think I have the podcast that I've been on with Ross on the website as well. So check that out. Instagram, I'm playing with reels. I look like a real dork.
A real dork. R-E-E-L. She's a real dork, which is okay. We're all real dorks. It's totally fine. Yeah. So no judgment. Yeah, so
if you want to have a good laugh, head over to Instagram and visit the reels. Really, I'm most active in my Positively Productive group. So if you want to get to know me and work with me on that level, join my group. The link will be in the description. And I'm in there every day talking to people and helping to motivate them.
Awesome. Love it. Well, Jamie, thank you so much. And if you're interested in testing the waters, if you will, on time blocking, as I mentioned, Jamie's been generous enough to give us those template files and things that you can use in your business. So hit that link in the description to check those out. And if you want to be more productive, if you're struggling with productivity, of course, I encourage you to reach out, book some time with Jamie. And until next time, and until next video, I encourage you to keep pedaling.